Morning, guys. Not the best timing for a video. I'll try and rush it in. So starter motor on the Smart car, there's 4 bolts under the subframe. They look like this. And this is the large bolt for the front mount on the subframe. Remove the large bolt nut from the front mount of the subframe and loosen these bolts. The safest way to do this is actually on the ground with a jack. We did it in the air and then I went on with a creeper underneath. Now I chose to remove 2 or 1 of the subframe bolts here. What that does, it gives you clearance here and off you go with the intercooler and the piping here. Now I'm not into step-by-step videos, as you're well aware. I quickly looked up a video for a minute online. I saw him pulling the intercooler out and maybe that car never had air conditioning because this one does. So it's quite smartly designed for the aircon to swing out of the way, right? The biggest tip I'm going to give you about this job is the only way to get the starter motor out is to move the wiring that goes to the starter and the alternator out of the way. And this conduit, see this conduit to the knock sensor and to the alternator? That conduit sits there. And that's what stops the starter motor coming out in combination with this thick cable, which is the starter motor main power connector, right? So over here, you've got the AC high-low switch. Okay, let's return some stuff to where it was. So, okay, now someone's been here before. So someone has, I'll show you what they've done. So basically, you take the intercooler out, right? You swing your aircon out of the way. You've brought the engine down already first up. You disconnect this thing. This is the other end of the high-low switch, right? This is all here. And you take it off, right? You then remove, well, you remove the throttle body, obviously. You remove this hose and this housing. This is where that switch goes that I just said, that thing there, right? So this housing's over here. You'll see it. It's very obvious what you have to do. The only tip I'm giving you in this video that is just the point where you're going to want to give up is to get that starter motor back and get this cleared, right? The only way to do it is to put one hand around there, one hand through here, and somehow manipulate this wiring, which goes against all sensors, right? See the wiring to the knock sensor? That wiring with that cable, as you can see, stops you taking the starter motor out. And I, for the life of me, didn't think I could move it, but I did. So what you've got to do is basically lift that conduit over the starter motor. Now, you've loosened the starter motor, so basically you can get an angle on it, and you lift this conduit, I know it sounds crazy, over the starter motor, right? And then this cable as well. This cable, somehow, you do that, and once it lifts up there, the starter motor will get this angle on it, like this. So you've turned it, and then you're getting this angle on the starter motor, and those cables are now there, and you get the starter motor out. Hope that helps. I'm sure it will. It'll help someone. So these 20-minute videos out there, I've mentioned it before, they're great. My videos are people who already know what they're doing, maybe mechanics out there, proficient people. I mean, I don't need to explain how to pull these other parts out whatsoever. It's all very basic, but it's these little tips I like to give people, and I hope they help. Now, with the clamps, I've got one screwdriver. This used to be my dad's. If I lose this, oh, mate, that's my dad's top dead center screwdriver for top dead center. And this screwdriver is literally the only one I ever use to pop these clamps to pop these clamps. Now, you will not be able to reuse this hose. This hose goes down here, okay? That hose goes right down there. You will not be able to get a tool on there unless you're very proficient with side cutters to get this on. Now, the issue with side cutters and these, I call them Alfa Romeo clamps, the issue is it's not the right tool. So what it does, it slightly bends these things, right? And what happens is, guys, when you bend these even slightly, they can fly off when you're not there. So I won't be reusing that clamp. What's interesting is that there was other clamps that people had reused. These two hold the AC lines together. And this is the part when I said someone else has been there. Basically what someone else did, it's probably quite smart. I'm not exactly sure how it is from the factory. I'd say it's one line, but see that line? This line goes to the brake booster, okay? And they snap that off. So what they've done, they've joined that hose with something else. Now, if that hose, there you go. So that's how I know someone's been there. And the fact there's different clamps. Now, when the car came in, it had a split here. So I won't confuse you with it, but these things are gonna break, guys, like they do on Volkswagen. So this is the only thing that I found glued on the car. In Australia, you just can't get parts for these cars. This part, I've got these lying around over the years, and I'll just make a hose up with a one-way check valve. So that's for the brake booster. I'd say that's the most fragile thing on the job. This one I haven't disconnected. It didn't really get in my way, okay? For me, the less I play with these things, the better. But if you find there's gonna be something in your way, take it out of the car. Do not try and lever that starter motor to clear that housing at the back. See that hose at the back with the silver clamp? That the starter motor is going to look like that's what's stopping it. But if you get the right angle on the starter, that's not going to stop it. So you do not need to remove that bottom hose. I'll tell you now, once you start with that hose and keep going, you're now going to get in deep shit, okay? Have a good magnet if you drop any tools, and lower the engine first. And plug your AC. One of my plugs has fallen out, but yeah, plug your AC immediately. Anyway, hope that helps.